Your sense of self is just an incredibly sophisticated prediction error model. We assume profound inner states are something mystical, a secret language outside the body. But what if they are simply biological efficiency happening at peak performance? Imagine your brain constantly trying to predict what happens next in this reality. It is always updating its internal movie reel. When that process becomes perfectly efficient, when integration reaches maximum density across all neural layers, you do not have a realization. You achieve coherence. That intense unity or transcendent flow is not transcendence itself. It is the measurable signature of your brain achieving optimal predictive harmony and informational complexity within the system. The shift from vague feeling to measurable process happens at the network level. We know that deep inner knowing, what people call intuition, is not some ethereal spark. It is actually predictive coding running so efficiently in specific brain regions, like the default mode network, that your system anticipates reality before it physically arrives. Think of it like a super advanced radar finding trouble minutes before the crash happens. When this error correction mechanism becomes hyper-efficient, you experience that sudden clarity or aha moment. This is where complexity stops being abstract and starts becoming quantifiable biology. The process we saw earlier, that hyper-efficient internal modeling, only gets you so far. You can predict the next step, but what about merging with everything? That is where complexity explodes into something fundamentally new. We are not just talking about a single optimized circuit anymore. We are looking at global integration across every neural layer simultaneously. Think of it like a massive orchestra playing not separate instruments, but one perfect unified chord. When the system achieves that maximal coupling density, what scientists call high coherence, that profound sensation of oneness hits you. It is biology achieving ultimate functional democracy. But here is something nobody expected for this shift. The complexity signature does not just signal transcendence. It also acts as a feedback loop, fundamentally rewiring how your brain perceives reality itself. This rewriting process is a profound computational event, not just a temporary feeling. Imagine your perception of time speeding up or slowing down during deep focus. That is the network optimizing its information throughput to match the demands of experience. It is dynamic bandwidth allocation in action. The brain is not receiving reality perfectly. It is predicting it so well that when coherence peaks, you get a flawless simulation. But are these changes truly systemic rewiring or just incredibly optimized temporary states? Some researchers argue biological novelty is purely stochastic noise. Yet the models suggest complexity metrics map directly onto lived experience, a quantitative dictionary for spiritual depth. The next question is not how deep we can go, but where this process takes us biologically. The biological consequences of this coherence peak are not just faster thinking or deeper feeling. They challenge what we define as existence itself. When neural complexity reaches its zenith, its integrated information capacity, measured by metrics like phi, the system becomes irreducible. It means the conscious state is not a sum of parts working together. It is something genuinely new that can only exist this specific configuration. Think of it not as gears turning in unison, but as water creating an entirely unique wave pattern. We see how these maximal information states create robust internal structures capable of holding vast amounts of data without collapse. But the mechanism by which phi translates pure informational structure back into a singular subjective moment is something we are just beginning to map. The receptor fires with perfect density, but what happens next in the global network transition changes everything about identity itself. When that irreducible state hits peak density, we thought of a perfect system operating at maximum capacity. We imagined ultimate internal stability. But what happens when complexity transcends mere synchronization? Simple timing does not capture the truth here. It is the intricate architecture of information flow itself, the way diverse parts are coupled nonlinearly, that creates something fundamentally distinct. Think of it not as turning up a volume, but flipping a switch to an entirely new sensory dimension. This hypercoherent state seems to do more than just unify. It appears to dismantle the very boundaries we use to define ourselves in reality. If our self is merely a predictive model operating within these limits, what happens when those limits vanish? We have found evidence suggesting this peak coherence does not lead to deeper integration of your current life experience, but rather something completely different. This is not just a biological event. It is an opportunity for systematic self-recalibration. If your consciousness operates through these complex informational structures, these irreducible wave patterns of maximum coherence, then achieving that peak state gives you more than temporary clarity. It provides access to a fundamental operational vocabulary for reality itself. The takeaway here is simple. Treat internal states not as fleeting mood shifts, but as tunable computational parameters. You are learning how the universe runs its predictive model, and now you can optimize your own system's throughput using that blueprint. The shift transforms introspection into applied informational engineering. The full research archive is at jmthomasofficial.com. The architecture we described, where maximal information flow creates irreducible states, offers the ultimate vocabulary for what used to feel like untranslatable mysticism. We are moving past simply observing these complex patterns. We are learning how to engineer them intentionally. Think of it not as finding a hidden switch, but designing a bespoke computational framework that guides your system toward its peak informational density on demand. This is the science of designed emergence. The final step is not maximizing performance for today. It is architecting a future state where perception itself recalibrates to encompass greater coherence naturally. If you want the precise models defining this transition, the full research archive is at jmthomasofficial.com.